palpate for the landmarks of the scapula. So the easiest way is to look for your acromion process first. You can follow the clavicle laterally, then that will lead you to your acromion. So here's my acromion right here, which turns around. I can follow that. So that will lead me to her spinous process, spine off the scapula. And I can follow that one to find the medial border of the scapula going down towards the inferior angle of the scapula. So I can cup that, and that's where my scapula is. And then T12 is located a little bit above your olecranon process. So here's the olecranon. It's going to be around this level right here. So this is important because T12, that's where your lower traps is going to originate as it inserts at the medial border of the scapula. So this is where you will palpate for it. Then your middle traps will go from T1 and to T5 spinous process, inserting at the superior border of the spine of the scapula. So that's where you will palpate for that muscle. We will be doing 4 movements. We'll start with elevation and depression. So if this is your scapula, it's right here. Elevation means the scapula is going to move up. Depression means scapula is going to move down. Okay? So the instruction for your client is this way. It could be shrug your shoulders up. You can see that scapula moves down, and you say lower your shoulder down to the ground. That's scapular depression. That's your screen. So and the practical, if you have to do scapular elevation, just ask your client to bring your shoulders up. If it's depression, lower your shoulders down. Okay, next slide. Next is adduction or retraction, and abduction or protraction. So adduction means you're going towards the midline, right? And then abduction means you're going away from the midline. Your midline this time is a spinous process. So abduction means you're going to pull the scapula towards the spine. Okay, so the instruction would be squeeze your shoulder blades together. That's retraction. Protraction is abduction. So you want the scapula to move away from the spine this way. So you will ask your client to reach forward and round your shoulders. That's protraction. So those are your screen. And with the scapula, we tend to do it bilaterally because you want to observe if one side moves and the other side does not. You are looking for asymmetry when you are doing the screen. Next slide. I know you're not required to do passive range of motion for the scapula this time, but I just wanted to show you guys how to do passive range of motion, because this is also how we do your scap mob. If you have a client who cannot move the scapula, you will have to do passive range of motion, because that one tells you if the lack of movement is because of muscle. And when you do your scap mob, you are loosening up all those muscles so that the person can move the scapula. Okay?
Does everybody know what a scap mob is? Scap mobilization.
Scap mobilization. From ribs 8 through 10, and then it inserts at the costal border of your scapula underneath the scapula and inserts at the medial border. Okay? So if you imagine the line of pull of your muscle, if this is the origin, it inserts over here, it's going to pull that scapula forward. That's why it moves your scapula towards abduction. Okay? So what does that do? And because his hand is up, when you move your arm up, it moves your scapula into lateral rotation. Do you guys remember this from anatomy? Okay, so so your serratus anterior moves the scapula into abduction, and it is also a lateral rotator. All right. So if the scapula moves this way, and the person is standing, is the serratus anterior moving in a gravity reduced or against gravity plane? If it's moving this way, gravity reduced, because it's not moving away from the floor. That's why we have to put your client in supine. So for your middle traps, the arm is in 90 degrees. We need to be leading with the thumb, because that will position the scapula in lateral rotation. So it's your hitchhiker. Okay, it's your hitchhiker position. Then you'll ask the person to squeeze the shoulder blades together. So that one will be my 3. Relax your arm right now. In your books, stabilization is the weight of the trunk, or you can also apply some stabilization on the opposite shoulder. Okay. Now, resistance. It says there that we will be resisting at the distal forearm. In your book, go ahead and bring your arm up, squeeze your shoulder blades together. This is where I'm applying resistance. Okay, if I apply resistance here, I might be activating the posterior deltoid. Okay, it's not wrong. It's just that we're not really isolating your middle traps from your posterior deltoid. Okay, so do it again. This is correct, but providing resistance over your acromion is also correct. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, or 1, 2, 3. Both are like this.
It says distal forearm, when it might be by your wrist. Distal forearm.
Yeah, they've got it up by the wrist.
Oh, sorry.
But think of all the joints that's how far away you are. And it's,
Let me see.
This is our
Did she
left-
have it from the wrist?
Yeah, she has it on the wrist.
leave her arm.
Wrist, sorry. Over here. That's a lot. Okay, so this is correct. And this is correct as well. This is preferred, but in your book, this is also correct. However, yeah, now that it's on the wrist, now you also have your triceps that will be kicking in. You have your posterior deltoid.
So why don't we tell them which one we want them to do, so we don't confuse anybody.
Okay.
Which one do you want them to do?
I would really like the acromion.
Okay, all right, so this is what we want you guys to do.
All right. Provide resistance over here. 1, 2, okay.
And I can tell you, as the person that's getting the resistance, the difference between all 3 of them, I felt like with that last one, she's actually testing the rhomboids versus testing everything else. And it's really hard. I mean, when you guys practice this, try it on each other at the wrist, and then try it up there and see the difference. Because that's, I mean, I can hold when she does it up top, I can hold, but when she's out there, I can't. So are we really truly testing the rhomboid or not?
I'll try. Right here.
Or whatever.
All right, so disclaimer, for this one, we will be applying resistance over the acromion. Not on the scapula, it's going to be right here, acromion. Not here, it's going to be here, more laterally, okay? Your so, it's not here, it's going to be right there, all right? At the more lateral, so if this is her spine, this is where I'm going to apply my resistance. I'm just turning like a robot.
So,
Okay.
So you want to be inferior and lateral to the spine.
Lateral to the spine.
You want to be on the spine or inferior to it?
In that region.
Okay, in there you go.
You start on your acromion. Your whole hand. Okay.
And you do want to make sure that they're at the end. Because then when she's applying the pressure there, if I'm all the way over here, she's just pushing into the table.
Right. Okay. Okay, so that's how we will test for your middle traps. Now, you might have clients where they have weakness in their posterior deltoid, or this is the position again. They will not be able to do this. All right, so relax your arm. They can just, you can support their arm and tell them to squeeze their shoulder blades together. Then I'm applying resistance right here. This is if you have a client with weakness of the posterior deltoid. If not, you can proceed like how we're doing with the hitchhiker's thumb. Yes.
And this is for grade 3, 4, and 5.
Yes, 3, 4, and 5.
And it would still be considered 3, 4, 5 if you held the arm.
I'm just supporting her arm.
Because
Okay.
you're testing a different muscle.
Yeah. If it's weakness of the posterior deltoid, I'm not testing posterior deltoid, I'm testing middle traps. But for the sake of your practical and your PowerPoint, we're doing the hitchhiker's thumb, providing resistance on the acromion process. Okay, I just wanted to throw it out there. You'll have clients who will have all these muscle weaknesses. They might not be able to assume this position because of posterior deltoid weakness and not middle traps. Okay? All right, rhomboid. We will be testing. You can have a seat right here, Dr. Sardic. And you have to position the client's arm in 90. Oh, that's high, as high as it can go.
Is that better? I can slouch.
No. Yeah. Oh, this is not. Yes, ma'am.
So we put a towel or something under this?
I got it. We'll try, yeah, that also better. Okay, so from here, then my instruction, you don't want to put your client in a rolling chair, but for the sake of positioning Dr. Saradic in 90 degrees of abduction, we will do that for now, but try not to. Okay, so you can ask her to squeeze her shoulder blades together. Right there. Then again, I will be palpating right here for your middle traps. Squeeze your shoulder blades together. Yep. Right over there. Questions? Yeah. What's that? Okay. Next slide. Rhomboids against gravity. All right, we're going to go up here again. You're getting your workout.
I know. Can we do your other arm for a while?
Okay, sure. We can.
No, it's okay. I'm just thinking.
All right. You're getting a massage today, Doctor.
Oh, yay.
Okay, so here is the position. Scooch a little bit towards me. All right, here's the position. Now, the instruction would be squeeze your shoulder blades together. What you want her to do is just squeeze, but she can lift her arm, but keep her hand on the buttock. Okay, relax your arm. If she does this is subscapularis. Okay, you want her to squeeze the shoulder blades together, and then I'll be palpating for the, sorry, this is against gravity. So rhomboids is going to be right here. Okay, so because we have her arm, we have the scapula into medial rotation, this position activates your rhomboids. Now, my resistance is going to be over the scapula. So go ahead and squeeze your shoulder blades together, and I'm still pushing downwards. If you guys notice, I'm doing the same resistance as your middle traps, but I just changed the position of her arm. Because with this position, this activates your rhomboids more. Relax. And with this position, this activates your middle traps. Okay? Questions? Okay. I did write down that this is against gravity version A. You'll have clients who will have tight shoulders. They will not be able to do this. Okay? An alternate test is a test by Kendall. You position the arm this way. So the shoulder is adducted and they're holding their arm right there. The instruction would be to squeeze their shoulder blades together. Then I'm pushing here at the distal humerus, going down. 1, 2, and 3. Okay? All right. That is against gravity. All right. And then we'll have you sit up. Okay, again, we shouldn't be positioning our patient in a rolling chair, but for the video purposes, I think, yeah, you gotta, yeah, put the arm. So same position as gravity reduced, only she is in a seated position. My instruction would be squeeze your shoulder blades together. Okay? Then I will be palpating closer to the inferior angle of your scapula for the rhomboids. Questions? A lot. I know. Scapular depression and adduction. So what's left is your lower traps. You can face down. Now, scapular depression, that's your lower traps. It starts from from T6 to T12, right? So we know that your lower traps is over here. You will position the person's arm in 130 degrees of shoulder flexion. Why is that? At this angle, we've used up all glenohumeral movement. Okay? If she tries to raise that arm up anymore, it's going to be scapular muscles. But because of the position of your lower traps being like this, placing the arm in this position activates your lower traps when your client tries to raise that arm up. So your instruction would be just raise your arm up off the bed, and then I'm applying resistance here over the scapula again. Okay, so I'm pushing the arm down. Okay, some of you guys were saying, well, how is that testing the scapula? You really have to press down. You're not doing this. You're doing this. Okay. I'm sorry. All right. So I call this a Superman position. Superman for scapular depression. Hitchhiker's thumb for middle traps. Okay. Now for this is depression. All right. Gravity reduced. Arm is on the side. I'll support the shoulder. Then I will just ask her to push her shoulders down towards your feet. And this is for depression. I will be palpating anywhere from T12 to the inferior angle of your scapula. So it's going to be right over here. All right. So if you guys notice, elevation and depression, gravity reduced, it's the same position. Depression, I'm guiding the arm downwards. Sorry, depression downwards, elevation upwards. Alrighty? Okay, just add that in all the motions that I anterior, right? So let's go over the movements. Protraction is away. Okay, retraction, squeeze your shoulder blades together. Elevation would be shoulders up, depression, shoulder down. Serratus anterior, and against gravity, you position the person's arm up. Stabilization is already the weight of your client. So the instruction would be reach up towards the ceiling, okay, and down. That's your grade 3. My resistance will be here, proximal to the elbow. So as she reaches up, I'm going to apply resistance downwards. 1, 2, 3. Relax. Okay? So protraction, I'm pushing her arm into retraction. Now, the gravity reduced will be seated at the edge of the mat table. And then shoulders going to be at 90 degrees. So I'm supporting her arm. I'll ask her to reach forward. Okay? And that is your grade 2. If she's not able to move, what I can do is I can guide her arm forward, and I'll be palpating right here on the mid-axillary line, just in front of the lateral border of her scapula. This is where I palpate. All right. Okay? Okay, go ahead. Do you want to practice, or do you want me to show another one? Okay, retraction is fine. So with retraction, you need to be on face down. So the instruction would be squeeze your shoulder blades together, right? So,
I can't do this.
I actually can't do this one.
why?
I don't know.
Okay, switch shoulders.
So,
All right.
you don't want-
So with let's do your
She's lucky
arms
if she
over
gets a
here.
1.
For rhomboids, your rhomboids do scapular retraction and medial rotation. So this is where the hand will be on the non-test button. Okay? So the instruction would be squeeze your shoulder blades together. Oh, right here. And then when you're applying resistance, it's going to be over the acromion process, and I'm pressing down. 1, 2, 3. All right. For your middle traps, this is your hitchhiker's thumb. Then you ask her to squeeze her shoulder blades together, and I'm providing resistance down here again. 1, 2, and 3. So hold on a second. When she's doing this, you don't want the electronon process to go up like this, because this is going to be posterior deltoid. You want the arm to be on the same level as her scapula. Okay, so squeeze your shoulder blades together. Squeeze, and then you're doing 1, 2, and 3. Any other questions?
So those are both retraction.
Mhm.
So are they separate? Two separate tests then?
Two separate
Retraction,
tests.
rhomboids, and retraction.
Middle
Middle
traps.
trap.
This is middle traps, okay? Because this positions your scapula in lateral rotation. This is rhomboids, because your scap is going to be in medial, okay? All right, so now we are doing gravity reduced, so you need to be, let's do middle traps first. I need to middle trap, it's right here. No, don't do this on the exam. It has to be a chair. Hold on. You put your arm over here. Okay. Shoulders still going to be at 90. Then you will ask the client to squeeze her shoulder blades together for middle trap. Don't move your arm. Just squeeze her shoulder blades together. Right there. So if she can do that, it's a 2. If she's not able to squeeze her shoulder blades together, relax. You can guide her into retraction, then you're palpating over here. Okay? It's gonna be right there. So this is the position for gravity reduced. Okay. Gravity reduced for rhomboids. Let's stand up so they can see what's going on. Same position as against gravity, but she's standing up. Then ask her to squeeze her shoulder blades together. Okay, so positioning the arm in the scapula in medial rotation activates her rhomboids, so this is where you're going to palpate. All right, so if she can do that in gravity reduced, it's a 2. If she can't, relax. I'm going to guide her scapula into retraction, then I'm palpating over here. See how I position my hand? That's where I'm guiding the scapula into rotation. Got it, guys? Okay, so review. Middle trap, gravity reduced in prone, hitchhiker's thumb. Okay, sorry. Middle trap against gravity, she's in prone, the hitchhiker's thumb. Gravity reduced, she is seated, same position. Stand up again. Rhomboids, this position against gravity in prone again. Gravity reduced, she's seated, but just make sure that you can see her back. All right, so in the exam, she can actually sit at the edge of the plinth for you guys to do this. It's probably easier if we have one of those more narrow plinths so that you can be behind your client. Okay, you won't be able to see her back if you have her sit in one of those chairs. All right, practice. And just ask your client to shrug her shoulders up and your hold, don't let me push it down. 1, 2, 3. This is the easiest one, right? Shrug up. 1, against gravity. Gravity reduced, she's in prone. So what you want to do is support the shoulder on the anterior side so that it lessens the friction against the plinth. Just ask her to bring her shoulders up towards her ears. This is 2. Okay? Now for 1, you will ask her to shrug her shoulders up while you're actually guiding the movement and palpating for your upper traps right over here. At any point between the occiput and the superior border of the lateral clavicle, right over here. Is that easy enough? Can we proceed with depression?
Yes.
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 Depression. We will position the arm in 130 degrees soft flexion. Just like what, move closer. Like we said earlier, placing the shoulder in this position uses up all glenohumeral. So as she tries to lift the arm up, she will be using her scapular muscle. Because of the line of the pull of your lower traps, that muscle is going to be involved in raising her arm up. So she's raising her arm up, you'll be pushing down on the scapula as a form of resistance. So ask her to raise her arm up, and that's going to be a 3 for scapular depression, testing your lower trap. My resistance again is going to be on the acromion of the scapula. Raise your arm up, don't let me push your arm down. 1, 2, 3. Okay, stabilization is the weight of the person's trunk. All right. I was telling Clarissa earlier that you can also stabilize on the opposite scapula, but if your client is bigger than you, you might have to use both hands to apply adequate resistance. Okay? So, gravity reduced is still in prone. What you're going to do is the same position as scapular elevation, but this time you will ask her to bring her shoulders down towards her feet. Yeah. So that's what she's going to do. You might have to elevate her scapula first and have her drop her shoulder down towards her feet into depression. If she can't do that, I will guide her arm down, palpating for the lower traps right here at the level of the inferior angle of your scapula. All right? The position for scapular depression is prone against gravity and gravity reduced. Okay? Good? All right.